so this is where we are with the GPz at the moment. You see it is in many bits. Having a go at cleaning it. It's come out pretty good actually, what I've done so far. Done a bit of work to the front mudguard, which you might see on a different video. But still, got to sort out this problem with the misfire on cylinders 4 and 1. So searching around on the forums, and the most common thing, or the best thing to check first rather, is the valves and then go on to the carburetors. So I'm going to do the tappet adjustment. That's why the bike's in so many pieces, because to get the bike, to get the cam cover off, rocket cover off, got to remove the fairing. I don't think I had to go quite as mad as this, but I thought it was probably easiest for me, so that's what I've done. go guys, let's have to get it out. So with everything out of the way, come out quite easily. But obviously, got to be really careful putting this gasket back in afterwards, which I need some silicone paste for. Now I can get to all my tappets. And just then, maybe it's stuck down. I need to stick the others back. Okay, so with the pulsar cover removed, you can see the 1.4 mark there. That's to line up with the mark on the crankshaft case. And at the same point as this, the inlet valves on cylinder 4 need to have just closed, and that is the first position to check on the Haynes manual. And the Haynes manual states then at this point that you check the inlet valve clearances of numbers 2 and 4 cylinders and the exhaust valve clearances of cylinders 3 and 4. Okay, so I've got to check all the valve clearances. I've done the inlet on 4 and 2 and the exhaust on 4 and 3. So I'm now going to do the inlet on cylinder 1. I'm not going to do all of these, but I'm sure there's lots of videos on the internet on how to do it. So I'll do the inlet on cylinder 1 and see where we go from there. These are set at 0.15 mil. I'll try not to knock the camera off. One tight, one loose. Great. Someone didn't want that to come undone. So you want to set it so the feeler gauges just drag in when the tappet is set at the right tightness, and it's only small movements. So that feels about right there. You can feel it dragging across the feeler gauge blade. What I do now, because you kind of need 3 hands to do all this, if you place the spanner over the top, screwdriver in the middle, because when you tighten this up obviously your adjustment is going to move, just like I moved it there, and just nip it up, and I just nip it up gently. Just test it again. It has gone up a little bit tighter, so this is a lot of backwards and forwards. So just open it up a tiny bit. Feels better. No, that's alright. So spanner in first, screwdriver in the middle, hold it tight. Okay. Check it. I did let it slip very slightly, tightening it because it was a little bit on the slacker side. Yeah, that feels good. I don't know if you can see. Feels good. You can feel the blade dragging across the faces. There you go. And another 8 to go. So once you've done your inlet and exhaust valves clearances in that position, Then you can rotate the engine. I use the big nut on the bottom of the crank and under the pulsar case, 360 degrees, so all the way around. So you're then going to check so that cylinder number 1 is at top dead center on its compression stroke, and you can check the inlet valve clearances on numbers 1 cylinder and number 3, and you can check the exhaust valve clearances on number 1 and number 2. Got it? Good. I set my valve clearances to 0.15 of a mil and 0.20 of a mil. Sorry, I should tell you which way around, shouldn't I? 0.15 on the inlet and 0.20 for the exhaust. That was sort of somewhere in the middle, so I thought that's probably the safest, and it seems to be right. And the bike's back together now. I'm doing this retrospectively. The bike runs, it's really quiet, and yeah, so it all seems good. So hopefully it helps a little bit. Also used, as per the Haynes manual, some engine seal. I use this one. People are probably going to say don't use that, it's rubbish, but it seems to have worked okay. They say it says in the Haynes manual just around these D shapes, but I've actually used it along the front as well and across the back because I didn't want it to leak, basically. So it seems alright. Don't seem to be leaking yet. See what happens. So anyway, cut a long story short. So I did all my valve clearances. Some of them were out. I noticed on cylinder 4 and 1, which the ones I predominantly have problems with, both the exhaust valves on both cylinders were a little bit tight. So whether that makes a difference, I don't know. It does seem to be running a little better, to be fair. Anyway, but not perfect. Not perfect. So now I've rigged this up. I think I've spent too much time in hospital recently. So now I've got, as you can see, sorry, I've got my synchronization gauges that go to the carburetors, one on each inlet. Okay, and bearing in mind what I think was that I've got a problem with cylinder 4, because that's the one that seems wet. We'll start her up and we'll see what happens. But I'll give her a run, I'll warm it up, and then I'll let you know. Bye. So my carbs, all the carbs are balanced up. A little bit out, but I reckon that's close enough. is. Got one healthy bike now.